Next up, we've got a bumper LINX technology slot. We've got Ambates, who's going to be looking at operations. We've got Mo, who's going to be looking at root servers. And we've got Mark Lloyd on engineering projects as well. So I'll hand over to you guys.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ann, and I'll start the technology update. I'll begin the operations update discussing availability, member-affecting issues, maintenances, and NOC performance. And after that, Mo will go into the root server update about OpenBGPd and Bird, while Mark will discuss various aspects of the LINX Slough and LON1 LSP redesign. And then afterwards, Ricardo will finish up. He's getting mic'd up at the moment. I'll start with the availability and service issues. Since the last LINX meeting at the beginning of September, we've continued to see high availability. We've had a few service-affecting issues since the mini meeting. The first was on LON2, when we lost BGP for IPv6 on collector 1 TCH LON2. It was caused by a duplication of the IPv6 address, and when it was updated, the session was restored. The second was a storage control failure in Manchester, which we had to do a full upgrade of firmware, causing member sessions to RS2 Man1 to go down. RS1 remains stable. The last service-affecting issue was an outage at EQA, Ashburn and Nova. Members lost connectivity due to a breakdown in communication with the data center, and the power was shut off to the cage. It was restored when we escalated within the data center. We have had a couple of non-service affecting issues yesterday, if anyone's noticed an ops announce. One from a switch, Edge1 THN LON2, having an optic reseated, but for some reason, it triggered the switch to stop recognizing all transceivers installed on the switch, and so resulted in loss of connectivity to that switch, and we've since opened a ticket with the vendor. And the other was a dark fiber issue between Telehouse and Equinix, which was caused by loose connection in Telehouse. And some of our connectivity engineers were quite involved in that. Manolis, wherever he is, was working till like 1:30, and he still got here this morning to help sort out connectivity. There's some upcoming maintenance work. Just mentioning ILO firmware upgrades on Captains and an NPS root server this week. That should be no effect, but I'm only mentioning it as there have been a lot of ops announce emails mentioning them. Work is nearing completion on the LON1 LSP redesign project, what Mark will discuss on his slides. And he has a couple maintenances to complete. And we also have an upcoming migration of dark fiber from a passive MUX to the Smart Optics solution. Just wanted to mention the change freeze. I sent the email to Ops Announce at the beginning of the month. Though to reiterate, we have a change freeze for LINX Nova starting at 5 p.m. Eastern Time today, 10 p.m. British Time, till Monday morning. And the Christmas change freeze starting at noon on Friday, the 16th of December, through to Tuesday, the 3rd of January. And last thing I'll touch on is NOC support performance. Our NOC support includes our 24/7 NOC engineers, as well as our second to third line network and senior network engineers when there's an escalation. Our first line engineers have increased in knowledge and skill since we brought it in-house in 2016, and I think that's reflected in our measurements. We measure our support performance in a few ways. The first is through feedback on our ticketing system, which is DeskPro. The first graph displays our feedback since January of 2020. The numbers are unfortunately limited to -1, 0, and 1, just the way it's set up. And though there's an option for written feedback, which we do read, and we look into the tickets that have negative feedback. But luckily, the feedback is mostly good. The second measurement is through the annual member survey. If you see the trend, with the exception of 2018, where it went down a bit, it's gone up every year since the NOC came in-house. And the last way we measure NOC performance is member interviews. Sean, since being promoted from NOC engineer to team leader to NOC manager, and myself try to talk to our top ticket openers for any feedback and suggestions. If we approach today, please spare us a few minutes. Alternatively, if you'd like to chat with us about anything, please grab one of us. And Sean, if you could stand up and give a wave from the back of the room so everyone knows who you are. Sorry, I did tell him I was going to do that. That wasn't being mean. And now to Mo for the root server update.
Hi, I'm Mo. I'm here to tell you the route show update for the coming months and what we're doing in the new year, especially with OpenBGPd and Bird. So, for OpenBGPd, we're currently running version 7.4 in LINX Wales and LINX Scotland. That was deployed around about in June this year. It's been successful. We've had no really big issues or peering issues with members. So we're at a stage now where we feel confident to deploy it in LINX Nova, LINX Manchester and LON1 We'll do that, as I said, in the new year, and we'll be replacing any root server that's an RS2 with OpenBGPd. Whilst we're doing those deployments, we'll also upgrade to OpenBGP 7.7. If a newer release comes along and we have time to test it, we'll deploy that if we believe it's in good working order. For Bird 1.6, so the majority of our root servers links are running on Bird 1.6 currently. We've been running that since 2010, so that's been very successful, both for stability and performance. We'll continue to run Bird 1.6 for now, especially during the deployment of OpenBGPd. LON1 will be the only exchange that we will run 2 root servers at Bird 1.6 for now. And if you're not aware, that currently the LINX collectors also run Bird 1.6, and then we'll do for the time being. For Bird 2, our ultimate aim is to replace Bird 1.6 with Bird version 2. The main reason is there's no longer really any main development going on Bird 1.6 as far as we're aware. The last release for it was in 2019. Bird 2 had a major release in June this year, I believe. So our current working on this is that we've got it set up in the lab. We have had some delays in kicking off some of the work, produce a hardware refresh, and a dependency on the OS we're using, where the package required a higher OS version. We did have an intern working with us in the summer who kicked off some of the work and testing, which will lay some of the groundwork for us for the current work that we're doing. So for Bird 2, the plan is to replace all RS1s that are running Bird 1.6, except for the root server that's labelled as RS3.LON1, that will remain on Bird 1.6 for the time being. If something comes along that we can perhaps replace it with like OpenBGPd or maybe a Bird 3, then we'll perhaps look at deploying that then, but we'll see. For deployment, we will start deployment in a smaller site first, like we did with OpenBGPd, somewhere like LINX Wales or LINX Scotland. That helps us keep any issues to a bare minimum and kind of keeps the impact low for member peering and traffic, whilst we're kind of niggling through any issues like with automation or config issues. So if I haven't confused you in the last 3 slides of what we're actually doing, I'll play that summary. In the new year, we'll deploy OpenBGP in all LANs except LON1. That will give us a Bird 1.6 and OpenBGP setup. Once that's done, we'll then deploy Bird 2 and all LANs, where LON1 will be a Bird 1.6 setup with a Bird 2 running next to it. And all other LANs will be a Bird 2 and an OpenBGPd setup. For other related items that we want to let you know about. For our looking glass, we're going to tag more prohibited prefixes with some communities so they're more visible on the looking glass. And for extended communities, we're planning on removing them from our policy control and our XP pending model. We know that there's not a lot of members that use extended communities. It seems to be the way the other XPs are going as well. But we'll reach out to those members that do use extended communities and try and speak to them and see if they can use large communities. If there are any members here who do use extended communities on the servers and want to have a chat today or tomorrow, I'm around, so please let me know. And I'll pass you on to Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark, Principal Network Engineer at LINX. I'm just going to give you a brief update on some network engineering projects that are currently being worked on. So the first is a project to redesign the Equinix Slough site. On LON1, Equinix Slough has been one of the sites that's seen the most amount of recent growth, with a substantial amount of 100 gig orders. Currently, LON1 members in Slough are split over 3 MX960s, 2 with enhanced backplanes to deliver 100 gig memory connectivity on MPC7 cards, and a third edge for 1 and 10 gig connectivity. Each 100 gig edge has 600 gig redundant ISL capacity to both Telehouse North and Equinix Harbour Exchange. We currently see about 800 gig combined peak ISL utilization out of the site. The traffic between the 200 gig switches currently goes via Telehouse and Harbour Exchange also. So we're looking at redesigning the topology to enable future growth both at 100 gig and 400 gig, and to ensure slow traffic is passed locally. In order to do this, we'll migrate all 100 gig members off both the MX960s, replacing them with Nokia SR7s with 36 port 4.8 terabyte XMAs. This will significantly increase the amount of 100 gig ports available, in addition to enabling 400 gig member capability at this site. All slow traffic will be switched locally with an additional ISL built to the 1 and 10 gig capable switch, and in addition, we will create ISL capacity for future growth to 1.6 tera combined, first by consolidating the 2x600 gig diverse from the existing MX960s, and then adding an additional 400 gig. So in terms of how we're going to increase this capacity, the 1.2 tera is being delivered using Sienna wave servers and using passive muxes. We'll keep those wave servers in place, but replace the passive muxes with smart optics DCPMs. For the 400 gig additional capacity, we'll be using the smart optics DCP404 transponder card. And this allows for 4 by 100 gig connectivity on the client side with a 400 gig coherent wavelength utilized on the line. That connects to the S-Box. By utilizing 400 gig ZR transceivers, we're able to span fiber distance up to 120K. So this solution also allows for an easy upgrade path to utilizing the 400 gig in the core. So in addition to enabling capacity on LON1 using the smart optics solution, we're also looking to do the same on LON2, doubling ISL capacity to 8 by 100 gig diverse and adding an additional Edgecore 7712 for 100 gig growth. Progress on this project so far. So last week we migrated the Slough to Harbour Exchange dark fiber over to the smart optics DCPM, with the 200 gig coherent wavelengths via Sienna wave servers being used to deliver ISL capacity over the DCPMs. The diverse fiber from Slough to Telehouse North will be migrated tomorrow, and this will enable us to add the additional 400 gig capacity on both LON1 and LON2 via the DCP404 and the 400 gig coherent waves. We have the Nokia SR7S installed in EQ6, and we are looking to bring that live prior to the change freeze. And in the new year, 100 gig members will be migrated to the SR7S with ISL capacity migrated over from the MX960s to the SR7s as those switches are decommissioned. And we also plan to increase the LON2 capacity out of Slough before the change freeze too. So a bit of news on the 400 gig testing for LON2. So we're currently evaluating the Edgecore AS7946. This uses Broadcom Command 2C silicon with 4 400 gig QSFP DD ports and 22 100 gig ports, and it's supported from OCNOS 6.1. Plans to use this as a short-term solution to deliver 400 gig on Edgecore and IPI Infusion platforms. So OCNOS 6.10 was released 1st November, and we've been evaluating this during the last couple of weeks. Transceiver support is quite limited at present, so whilst we've been able to successfully pass traffic on both the flex optics and fiber store transceivers we've tested, optical diagnostics are not quite there currently. So this has been raised with IPI. We hope to get a software release with full transceiver support in the near future, as well as to address a few other issues identified. But we do plan to support FR4, LR4, and LR8 when we bring those switches live. Last thing I'll talk about is the LON1 LSP topology redesign. So historically, as a result of load balancing issues on the PTX 5000 platform, ISLs run between switches are run as single links rather than legs. 64 primary and secondary static LSPs are then configured to each endpoint going through each link on the network to ensure traffic over each link is utilized and balanced. At present, we have 26 edge routers in the network, resulting in each edge having 3,200 LSPs. This results in nearly 83,000 LSPs configured throughout the network in total. Fortunately, we have an in-house tool that generates those LSPs for us, but this does create additional engineering overhead, as every time an ISL is upgraded or downgraded, those ISLs need to be regenerated and then deployed in a maintenance window. So as all PTXs have now been removed from the network, there are restrictions on the legs that are no longer there, so we will migrate all those LSPs, all those ISLs into legs. This will significantly decrease the amount of LSPs on the network, simplifying the design and decreasing the amount of LSP churn in the event of link flex. All edges will now require only a single primary and secondary LSP to each edge, and as a result, this means only 50 LSPs are required on each edge as opposed to 3,200 as we have currently. So we're close to nearing completion on this project. We began by migrating the edge ISLs to legs before moving to the cores and migrating the ISLs on a per core basis to keep the maintenance non-service impacting. We have one maintenance outstanding to migrate the final 3 ISLs next Monday. As it stands, we still have those 64 primary and secondary LSPs to each edge, but with the majority of the ISLs migrated, those LSPs are effectively going over the same path. So after those final 3 ISLs are migrated, we will then perform a final maintenance to drop the LSPs down to a single primary and secondary path, and that again should happen before the change freeze. That's it from me.